Band Si Hyuk stunned. The real reason behind Jimin's sudden rift with Jungkook is a Grammy rehearsal performance, The Silent Goodbye, in a revelation that has sent tremors across the global music industry. Insiders have leaked what may be one of the most emotionally charged decisions in K-pop history. Park Jimin, former BTS member and now soloist of international acclaim, is reportedly set to perform a secret, stripped-down rehearsal for the 2026 Grammy Awards, a move so unexpected, so symbolically precise, that even HYB's Bang Si Hyuk is said to be personally shaken. But as this confidential appearance becomes the center of worldwide speculation, one question rises above the rest. Why now, and why without Jungkook? The rumors ignited like wildfire. A hush flight to Los Angeles. A reserved rehearsal studio at the Microsoft Theater, a location historically used for Grammy rehearsals. No public schedule. No official press. No managers. Only Jimin, HYB security, and a shadowy musical score labeled simply P. Jim. Rehearsal draft. At the center of this silence is a potential performance so personal that it threatens to unravel years of veiled emotional tension, not just between artist and audience, but, insiders claim, between Jimin and Jungkook themselves. Why did Jimin seemingly distance himself from Jungkook, the very member once considered his emotional counterpart in BTS? Was it artistic divergence, personal fracture, or something deeper, something unspoken? According to confidential reports circling HYB's internal strategy division, discussions have taken place involving top-tier music executives, select Grammy producers, and yes, Bang PD himself. Sources close to the situation suggest that the Grammy rehearsal isn't simply about musical showcase. It's a symbolic declaration, a moment of quiet rebellion cloaked in melody. And it began not in a boardroom, but in silence. The kind of silence that follows emotional rupture. Whispers from insiders hint that the performance Jimin is preparing, a minimalistic, unfiltered live vocal rendition, with no choreography, no stage effects, and no guests, is titled Letter That Never Came. A piano ballad composed across continents, said to be emotionally rooted in a period of profound grief. Some claim it's a spiritual sequel to his 2018 song Promise, the SoundCloud masterpiece that broke records and broke hearts. But the true mystery lies in the letter's recipient. Certain industry voices speculate it was addressed to a person who is still alive, but no longer emotionally present. Could this be a veiled message to Jungkook? Could this be a long-withheld farewell cloaked as a song? Observers have noted a visible change in Jimin's public dynamic with Jungkook since early 2025. While official statements from HYB have downplayed rumors of interpersonal strain, footage from award shows, social events, and behind-the-scenes content paints a quieter, stiffer picture. The once affectionate camaraderie, the inside jokes, lingering eye contact, spontaneous harmony lines, appears to have faded. The digital distance is stark. No mutual posts in months, no shared projects, no overlapping endorsements. And now this, the Grammy rehearsal. A performance without fanfare, without backup. Alone. Industry veterans familiar with BTS's internal culture say this level of divergence is not accidental. When Jimin moves alone, he moves with intent. One longtime associate told us, "This is not about spectacle. It's about saying what could not be said, especially to someone he may never speak to directly again." The song itself, while unreleased, is rumored to include lyrics that point unmistakably toward abandonment, emotional closure, and an unfulfilled promise. One leaked line from the bridge reads, "I whispered goodbye in silence, / you never turned around." These are not generic pop metaphors. They carry the weight of direct experience, and fans are drawing conclusions rapidly. Could Letter That Never Came be Jimin's final communication to Jungkook? Those familiar with BTS's trajectory know that both artists have grown increasingly independent in their musical identities. While Jungkook has embraced bold Western collaborations and high-octane pop releases, Jimin's solo path has leaned heavily on introspection, lyrical vulnerability, and acoustic minimalism. Artistic contrast is natural, but what many fans didn't expect was emotional divergence. And now, emotional disclosure. Multiple unverified sources have indicated that the idea for this performance did not originate from the Recording Academy, nor from hybe management. It came directly from Jimin. And it wasn't meant for stage, it was meant for healing. Not just his own, but perhaps that of the person the song is about. Whether they're ready to hear it or not. If that person is Jungkook, this moment becomes seismic. Further igniting speculation is the absence of any other BTS member in Los Angeles during this period. Fans tracking flight manifests and schedule gaps noticed that while Jimin arrived alone under hybe security escort, Jungkook was reportedly seen departing Seoul for a separate endorsement shoot in Dubai. Whether this was coordinated or a coincidence remains unclear, but what is clear is this. Jimin wants to be seen alone. At the heart of this development lies a growing belief among fans and insiders alike that Jimin is no longer trying to preserve any group mythology. He is not leaning on the strength of seven. He is asserting the fragility of one. And if his song is truly directed at Jungkook, then his silence in the group context now takes on a devastating clarity. Could this rehearsal be the goodbye he never voiced? The timing is chilling. Grammy rehearsals are typically private, tightly scheduled, and restricted to confirmed nominees and performers. Jimin has neither. Yet his name, though absent on paper, is now echoing louder than anyone on the lineup. Producers have reportedly adjusted lighting protocols and theater security to accommodate what one source called a performance of delicate sensitivity and personal stakes. The stage will be near dark. The vocals will be live, one take, unedited, and audience. No encore. Industry reactions have ranged from stunned admiration to deep emotional resonance. One Grammy associate privately remarked, "We've had legends rehearse here, but we've never had someone use a rehearsal to say goodbye." The producer in question did not confirm who the goodbye was intended for, but speculation among insiders is near unanimous. If Jimin delivers this performance, and if the song is indeed Letter That Never Came, then the act itself becomes historic. Not because of who hears it, but because of who doesn't. Adding another layer to this unraveling narrative is a private meeting that reportedly took place just days ago. At a discreet studio adjacent to Microsoft Theater, band Si Hyuk was seen entering the premises with Grammy executive producer Ben Winston. Surveillance snapshots show them exchanging a sealed envelope labeled Live Rehearsal, Archive Only. No further comment, no official statement, but the implication was immediate. This performance may not be aired. It may not be acknowledged. It may only exist as a film reel, a document, a whisper in the BTS vault, meant for a future documentary or a solo visual album. But it will exist. And the person it was meant for will either choose to see it or forever remain unaware of the emotional truth they inspired. The most haunting element of this entire ordeal is that Jimin is choosing silence as his instrument.
No interviews, no teaser posters, no promotional campaigns.
Only an arrival, a stage, a microphone, and a song not yet heard. And when that song is finally sung, the world will not applaud. It will listen, because sometimes the truest performances are not the ones choreographed to perfection. They are the ones performed to no one. For someone, SO is this performance confirmation of a rift between Jimin and Jungkook. No one has said it out loud. But if Letter That Never Came is what people believe it to be, then the stage rehearsal at the 2026 Grammys will not just be a musical moment. It will be a cathartic release, a message long withheld, and perhaps the quietest, most powerful breakup the world never saw coming. And maybe that's exactly how Jimin wanted it to be. Because for an artist who has always spoken loudest through emotion, not spectacle, this rehearsal may not mark his next chapter, but the closure of one he never got to end. The question remains, will Jungkook ever hear the song? And if he does, will he recognize it as his? In light of recent developments involving Park Jimin's alleged secret rehearsal for the 2026 Grammy Awards, an imperative arises to pause and consider the broader implications of this unfolding narrative. While the initial reports suggest a profound emotional rupture between Jimin and fellow BTS member Jungkook, the veracity of these claims remains unconfirmed. As such, readers must be urged to approach this information with caution, discernment, and an unwavering commitment to critical reflection. Has Jimin truly orchestrated a private farewell under the guise of a rehearsal? Or are we witnessing the construction of a myth designed to provoke public intrigue? The sources cited, ranging from social media platforms such as TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, to anonymous statements allegedly from within HYB, are, by their very nature, vulnerable to distortion, misinterpretation, and fabrication. How can one distinguish between genuine emotional artistry and an elaborate fabrication driven by sensationalist motives? Indeed, if this performance does exist, described as a minimalist, non-broadcasted act titled Letter That Never Came, then it represents a radical departure from the public narratives typically associated with BTS. The rumored lyrics, imbued with themes of abandonment and emotional finality, suggest a deeply personal message. But to whom is it directed? And why now? Yet we must ask, who benefits from such a narrative? Does it serve Jimin, allowing him a discreet emotional release? Does it serve the Recording Academy, elevating its platform through speculative celebrity drama? Or does it merely serve digital echo chambers that thrive on ambiguity, exploiting the emotional investments of fans for virality and engagement? The answer may not lie in the performance itself, but in the reaction it provokes. The circulating speculation is constructed upon multiple layers of assumption. For instance, reports that Jungkook traveled to Dubai while Jimin arrived in Los Angeles alone are presented without official confirmation. The claim that Si Hyuk met privately with Grammy executive producer Ben Winston is based solely on unverified imagery and commentary. Even the alleged lyrics, "I whispered goodbye in silence" / "You never turned around," remain unattributed and unconfirmed by any legitimate source. Can such fragments, however compelling, be accepted as fact? Readers must be urged to interrogate every aspect of this narrative. Is there credible evidence that Jimin intended this song as a veiled message to Jungkook? Has there been any formal acknowledgement from HYB, the Recording Academy, or the artists themselves regarding this supposed rift? Or are we merely witnessing the convergence of opportunistic media tactics and an audience's longing for emotional resolution? This uncertainty demands responsibility, not only from media outlets and content creators, but from the audience itself. One must ask, are we, as observers, complicit in transforming speculation into pseudo-reality? Are we projecting unresolved emotions onto a story that has yet to be confirmed? If the performance exists solely as a private archive, unseen by public eyes, then what justifies the wave of commentary and emotional investment surrounding it? Has the digital age conditioned us to accept the suggestion of a moment as equivalent to the moment itself? Furthermore, if Jimin truly did create this performance as a form of closure, would it not undermine that intention to have it dissected by strangers, removed from its emotional context and repurposed into a media spectacle? And yet, the very possibility that the song was meant for Jungkook, whether as an emotional parting, a plea, or an unresolved sentiment, raises an additional question. What responsibility does the audience bear when faced with such intimate artistic expression? Is it our place to interpret, to speculate, or even to judge? To that end, readers must consider, could this entire situation be a strategic media construct? Could the performance itself, the rumors of emotional fracture, and the imagery of Si Hyuk looking visibly disturbed be designed to elicit a controlled emotional reaction? What if the audience has been drawn into a narrative not of Jimin's making, but of someone else's crafting, someone who understands the currency of silence, the potency of rumor, and the profitability of unresolved tension? We must acknowledge that much of the current speculation originates from unverified digital sources, which are often driven by algorithms that favor sensational content over verified truth. The danger lies not only in misinformation, but in the erosion of trust between artist and audience, between fact and fiction. Is it not plausible that we are interpreting emotional distance where there is simply artistic divergence? Is it fair to draw conclusions about the personal relationship between two individuals based solely on public appearances, or lack thereof? If the performance is, indeed, Jimin's way of concluding an unspoken chapter, then perhaps it was never meant for public interpretation. Perhaps its power lies precisely in its privacy. But if the entire scenario is a fabrication, intentionally or otherwise, then what does that say about our cultural moment, in which every silence must be filled, every gesture must be explained, and every rumor must be believed? Let us not lose sight of the critical role of skepticism. Readers are encouraged to question not only the details of this narrative, but their own motivations in engaging with it. Why do we crave confirmation of a rift? Why do we find catharsis in the idea of a silent goodbye? This reflection is not meant to dismiss the emotional weight of the rumored performance. Rather, it is a call for discernment, for responsibility, and for a recognition of the limits of public knowledge in the face of private artistry. In closing, we ask you, the reader, do you believe the story is real? Do you trust the sources from which it originates? Or do you recognize the potential manipulation inherent in stories that offer emotional closure without credible evidence? Think critically, demand verification, and above all, remember that the most compelling stories are not always the truest. They are often the ones we most want to believe.